Hello everyone, welcome to our brand new video here in Team SPP. Today I am here, I'm Sharni, and we have also, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, hi, I'm Teposu and I am here with Sharni to talk about the Liverpool regional meta. And we'll be talking about what's the best deck to play and which decks you should maybe not play.
Yes, exactly. So this video is gonna be exactly for the Liverpool regional championships and like the metagame for that one, like what decks are gonna be good in the metagame, what decks are gonna be bad in the metagame. And also I think it's worth mentioning that both of us are not going to attend Liverpool regionals, so like we're not gonna do this video to like meta manipulate or anything like that. We are both having some tests here in Finland, so we are not gonna be able to attend these regionals, but maybe in the Dortmund regionals we will be playing.
Yeah, and we do want to clarify. So we'll be ranking these decks on what do we think is the best play. So maybe the best deck and format is not the best play for this exact event. So you should keep that in mind.
Yeah, exactly. So I think we should start off here. Maybe just gonna start with the Charizard here, maybe the most popular deck right now.
Yeah, I think it's a solid A tier because it's really consistent and can beat really anything in the format if you draw the right cards, I think.
Yeah, I think Charizard is like very solid deck, has strong matchups against a lot of the decks, but one thing that worries me is like if we are gonna see a lot of Giratina loss zone, the thing is that Charizard is having not the best matchup against it, so like is it still good enough deck to play? What do you
I
think?
think I think it's still a really good deck to play because the Giratina matchup is not that bad of the matchup. Like to that point that you don't want to play Charizard. Like I think if you're going to play the Charizard, I think you should keep in mind that people are going to bring the TM Devolution tool with them and try to
Yeah,
counter Charizard.
yeah, definitely. I feel like the list that got second place in Charlotte Regional Championships that had the Radiant Charizard in it and also Choice Belt. That's kind of something that you might be maybe want to try out because that list is pretty good right now in this metagame.
Yeah. I think that's exactly what I would play if I would play Charizard. The Raid Charizard is really good, for example, against the Giratina when you have the choice belt, and a lot of like Miraidon, Chien-Pao, some other matchups like here and there, Roaring Moon maybe even.
Yeah, and the Radiant Charizard is just good against TM Devo also and also can use the TM Devo, so it's pretty good.
Yep,
So anyways, now
right.
moving on to Giratina lost box. The deck just won the Charlotte Regional Championships and it also won the Portland Regional Championships. What do you think about this deck?
I think the deck is really good when it sets up, but the early game can really be difficult. But I think the deck is the best deck in format right now. Like if you check the results, like it's clear that it's the most dominating deck. It doesn't really have any that bad of the matchups if you just Roxanne and pass to the peak and it just sticks. So I think it is the best deck in format, but I don't think it's the best play for this exact event.
Yeah, me neither, because right now it has been doing very good, so people are already aware of Giratina in play, and maybe Charizard is falling off a bit if people are expecting a lot of Giratina, and overall people are not maybe playing those decks that are having that bad matchup in the Giratina. So maybe Giratina is not the best play right now, but it's still like a solid, and I would maybe put it on like A tier.
Yeah, and also, for example, Mew players, as we saw from Xander Perot in Charlotte, played 5 pass outs, which really helps against the Giratina matchup, so
Yep,
that the Roxanne pass doesn't stick as often.
yes, exactly. Okay, so next up we have Roaring Moon. This is actually kind of interesting since it got very or pretty good results in Charlotte regionals.
Yeah, it did really like surprisingly well because I think the deck was like Miraidon, it's just a 2 price beatdown deck, but I think it might be actually pretty good, and I would even consider it in B tier right now.
Yeah, so B tier is pretty solid for the Roaring Moon, I would say. You
Yeah.
could put it on B tier since it's like solid deck can beat a lot of stuff and it's also very easy deck to play. So if you maybe are not that experienced in Pokemon trading card game, you could maybe pick up Roaring Moon and still have some good results with it.
Yeah, and I would take the Roscoe's and deck list because it does play a lot of disruption. So you actually have outs against some decks, which you usually wouldn't have the outs to win.
Yes, exactly. Okay, next up we have Goldengo.
I'm still not a huge fan of Goldengo, but it did get a lot of day two placements in Charlotte, so it might actually be a pretty solid deck right now.
Yeah, I feel like Goldengo is it's like okay, but having that kind of bad Giratina matchup sucks because like the Path to the Peak Roxanne is very deadly, and also Giratina just deals enough damage to one-shot Goldengos. So I feel like because of that we might put it on maybe like B or C tier.
Yeah, I would say C tier. I'm still not convinced that like the deck can really beat most of the matchups, so I'd still keep it in C tier.
Yeah, me too. Okay, next up we have Gardevoir EX. I feel like
Ooh.
Gardevoir is like a pretty strong deck right now because it's like very good against Charizard and Giratina, and also Miraidon is like it's not like that high still, so Miraidon is like one of the only worst matchups for this decks.
Yeah, and also if you see the two decks in eight, yeah, I think Gardevoir takes a pretty good matchup against both of them. So
Yeah,
I would say Gardevoir is a really good play for
yeah,
this tournament.
me too. I wouldn't even like hate to put it on S tier here.
Yeah, it might. Let's see. I think we should at least now put in A tier and maybe think about putting it in S tier later on.
Yeah, let's do that. So it's just here in the A tier, and we move on. So we have
Right.
Miraidon here.
All right. So I don't think Miraidon is that good of a deck anymore. Like because Charizard is the most popular deck, and I think that the Nicholas Moffitt deck list from Portland is the optimal way to play it because it does have the Judge and Path and also two other hands to try and take the early a lot of prizes.
Yeah, the Judge Path version is pretty good against Charizard at least, but also we saw the Peony version really pop up, I feel like, in Charlotte regionals. So I would say, and in here also we do not have the regular Miraidon in this tier list, so I think this Miraidon Fluffy is gonna be all of these Miraidons. So overall Miraidon is, I would say it's decent, but yeah, like you said, having a bad Charizard matchup isn't really like gonna help this deck at least.
Yeah, I think I would put it in B tier just because of that. But it does take like I think a fine Giratina matchup, I believe, and a really good Gardevoir matchup. So that can really
Yeah,
help the deck.
yes, exactly.
And also, it is a really easy deck to pick up and to play. So if this is your first regional, you should I think you should definitely consider this deck to be your play.
Oh yeah, exactly. And now we have Lost Zone Box. This is also like a very wide archetype. We have Kyogre builds of Lost Box. We also have Sable's art, but that's another archetype in this tier list. And then we have just like some other like the Tord box decks that have everything on it.
Yeah. I really like the Kyogre in the deck because it gives you so many outs. For example, against the Roaring Moon, Miraidon, Goldengo, even. So I would definitely play the Kyogre there.
Yep. But is it still like how good of a play is it for this tournament?
I don't know. I wouldn't play it because it's isn't maybe that consistent and like I'm not sure about all the matchups and like there's a lot of stuff that just Iono pass and you just or just Ionos and you just lose, I think.
Yeah, so overall I would say it's maybe one of those B or even C tier, maybe B tier still. It's not like Lost Box is like not at that bad position, but it's still like I could see it. I could see it getting like a solid maybe top 32s, but I don't think it's gonna be winning the event.
Yeah, so I think we should put him in B because it does have a lot of potential, but I don't think it just deals with all the best decks that consistently.
Yeah. Alright, so next up we have Shen Power Excalibur, and this is a deck that it's very interesting. It can be very good, but also it can feel like you're going to casino with it, and sometimes it's not really functioning. What do you think
Yeah,
about
I
it?
think the deck is pretty okay, and I would play the cross switcher and canceling alone without the iron hands because we saw in the last format how well that version did. So I think you should just keep playing that, and yeah, maybe you can beat some Charizards and Gardevoirs with that.
Yeah, the thing is that overall I feel like it in the meta game it is actually in a pretty good position since yeah it has a good Gardevoir matchup, should also a good Charizard matchups, and then Giratina is also like I feel like it's alright at least.
Yeah,
So
because you can like keep one-shotting the
yeah,
Giratina and use Greninja to knock out Comfeys.
yeah. So I mean like even though I don't like the deck itself that much, I wouldn't hate to actually see it being a pretty good play here, like maybe even for like A or B tier.
Yeah, I think it actually could be an A-tier play, just because of the consistency, it might not be the best deck, but I think it's an overall a really good pick.
Yes. So let's just put it on the A tier here and let's see do we get some changes here.
Yeah, and then
So
we have Sablezard,
yes.
and I think this deck is actually pretty good right now because of the popularity of Giratina and because if they play the TM Devolutions against the Charizard. So, what do you
Yeah.
think about this deck?
Yeah, so like overall if Giratina is a popular deck, I feel like this deck should have a pretty good matchup against it. And then also Gardevoir. I mean, I feel like if Gardevoir is playing Jiraachis though and that kind of stuff, it can get a bit bad, but still like it's probably very equal. And also we actually saw on Twitter a very interesting like statistic. We saw that if you were thinking from the Pokestats Live matchup percentages, and then we compare them to the metagame percentages for Charlotte. Actually, the best play in like percentages for Charlotte was this Lost Box Charizard.
Yeah, I think this is a really good play for the next event. Like many people ignored it during this format because they thought, oh, maybe Iron Hand just beats this deck. But because you have the Raihan and the double turbo energy, you can actually knock out the Iron Hands like straight ahead with the Radiant Charizard pretty quickly.
Yeah, so maybe we're gonna put it on the S tier maybe or A
Yeah, I
tier.
think yeah, I think we should put it right now in the S tier because it does have really good Giratina and I think a favorable Charizard matchup.
Okay, let's do this and we
Yeah.
move on. So now we have Mew Genesect. This is the double turbo Mew Genesect, and this is overall I feel like a very solid archetype and can win against pretty much everything. It's pretty consistent, but also it's Mew VMAX deck. What do you think about it?
I really like Mew VMAX in this format because I actually don't think that the double turbo Mew's Charizard matchup is that bad because you can judge fast and you have the box of disaster, so you do have a lot of lines. So I
Yeah,
think I would put this deck really high in this tier list.
yeah, it's pretty good right now. And if you look at these decks we have here, it has probably like a solid Giratina matchup, I would say. Then Shenpa is also like a good matchup. Then Charizard is, like you said, it can still be pretty good even though they are having a weakness. So like I think Charizard is like around 50-50 maybe.
Yeah.
And then
So
Gardevoir matchup also maybe like. What do you
yeah,
think
if they
about
don't
it?
have, I think if they don't have Averys and you have the two box of disasters, the matchup is favorable
Yeah,
because you can just apply so much pressure with the judges and the path to the peak. So I think this deck actually could be an S tier.
yeah, it could be. It could be. It's maybe we
And
could put it on the
if
S
you,
tier.
yeah, and if you want to play it, I would definitely recommend the 12th place from the Charlotte Regionals because the exact same 60 got like eight results or nine in
Yeah,
day two. So
yeah, that was a very successful deck list, so you would definitely give it a try. And maybe we're gonna have in this channel like another video where we are playing that deck, so maybe stay tuned for that
yep,
one.
yep.
Okay,
All
now we
right.
have Intelion Urshifu. This is
Um,
pretty interesting deck as well.
yeah, I wouldn't play this deck just because it's like so inconsistent. Like it's really hard to set up with this deck, and
Yeah,
uh,
yeah, even though it has good matchups on paper, it also is a deck that can just fall off, like not setting up really well and just have some positions where it just like freezes and it doesn't really do anything, then it can lose a lot of stuff. So
yeah,
I'm
and
not
also it
sure.
is so reliant on auxiliary, and if you just knock out the auxiliary, you pretty much just lose the game with Italian Urshifu, and I think
Yeah,
I would put it in C tier because I don't think the Giratina matchup is that good to play that.
yeah, it's true. Giratina can still handle this deck actually pretty well, so maybe I can put it on a CTR with Goldengo.
Yep,
I think it's still like better play than Goldengo, but I don't still think it's that good.
right. Snorlax Stall. What do you
Yes.
think about this deck?
Yeah, this is actually like I would say that the deck is solid at least because if you look at these decks, it should have a good Charizard matchup. Also, Gardevoir matchup is definitely good. Then Giratina, that's the only problem, which is like the Giratina matchup isn't that good. And then
Yeah,
also Mew VMAX is like very usually played in these European events. So Mew VMAX is also like I mean it depends, but now when they're playing the fusion energies, I think it makes the matchup a little bit better from you.
yeah, and also because of the popularity of Giratina, like I would be
Yeah,
really scared to play the deck because Giratina does have a really good matchup against Snorlax if they do play right. So I wouldn't recommend playing Snorlax.
yeah, maybe I can put it like at B tier because I feel like the
Yeah,
deck still has like some good matchups, but also it can be a risky play.
yep. All right, we have Love
Glove Electrode,
Electrode, a
yes.
kind of meme deck. So, where should we put this deck here on the tier
Yeah, I
list?
think it's a big meme deck, but if you think about it, should have maybe a good Charizard matchup or decent Charizard matchup, but even that is not
Yeah,
that good. But otherwise, like Giratina and Mivimax and probably Gardevoir
yeah,
also, these decks
and
are
I think it's like it deals like so little damage. So, like, for example, if you compare it to Roaring Moon, I think like this deck can compare like to all these top decks. So, I wouldn't play the deck.
yeah, me neither. I would maybe just put it on C tier or even at the D tier if
Yeah,
we
yeah,
if we put it on D tier
yeah,
here. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. All
Okay,
right.
right now we have Fusion Mirror, the deck that we both played in Stuttgart Regional Championships.
Yeah, and also tied our winning in, so we know the
Yes.
deck really well, and so I think deck is pretty good. Maybe not in such a great position as the GT Mew, but it is still a really good deck because um you have the four fusion energies which like count as like the Spiritomb really well, and you have the Donk potential and all that stuff.
Oh yeah, yeah. Fusion Mirror is like a solid deck, I would say. But is it like I'm not sure. Is it still like a S tier deck?
Yeah, I don't think so. I think it goes like in A tier, like bottom A tier.
Yeah, ATR is like pretty solid for it since it still has some bad matchups and also sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes playing me VMAX can just get a little awkward, but the good thing here is that we are having the vision energy, so you're not gonna be losing that much against just random spirit tombs because you can just put the fusion energies in play.
Yeah, and also like the Charizard matchup might not be as bad if played like the boss of disaster and get lucky with the judging pass. And
Yeah,
also
yeah.
you can attack with Meloeda to knock out the Charizard EX at some points.
Yeah, it just depends like how much do you want to touch for Shorter DX, and then also like when you have these other matchups, how much are you gonna play against them? Because also Giratina matchup is like it's pretty good, but if you're playing those Box of Disasters, that kind of stuff, and more Path to Peaks to counter Shard it, then the Giratina matchup I think gets worse. So you gotta just
Yeah.
adjust and find the right place on there, and if you can do that, I think Fusion Me is pretty good play.
Yep, me too. All right, moving on to Arceus. Arceus did really well in Charlotte Regionals. Like there was one at ninth place bubbling out
Oh yes, the
with the
Arceus
Arceus
Reiko. Or
Regigigas.
Regigigas, but maybe the Regireiko, maybe we're also gonna see that one in like maybe
Yeah,
our channel. But the Regigigas version is it's
yeah, and
pretty
there
surprising.
were two in top 16. So
Yes,
uh,
so it
so I think I don't know how this deck actually plays, so I cannot say much
yeah.
about it.
I also
But
have like a little experience with the deck, so I'm not so sure about it. But I would like
like if you, I like the Iono and Pats the Peak and like the 300 HP Regigigas, so in the share and scare, so you can actually maybe tank against Giratina and maybe Charizard.
yeah. So maybe I would say maybe we put this deck on like B tier or A tier. What do you think?
Um, yeah, I don't know, just because I'm so unexperienced with the Arceus deck, I would put in B tier. Um, but I think it is like getting better as the format goes on. So maybe like next event, the deck is in A tier and even S tier because it
Yeah,
can get really good matchups if you play them right.
yeah, makes sense a lot. So now we have this one final deck here, Entei Iron Valiant, and I just feel like this deck isn't that good right now because even though you're trying to snipe these little guys, still get something like Giratina with the Battle Peaks, and also just being able to one shot you can be pretty tough to deal with.
Yeah, I wouldn't play this deck either because I think after the first two turns, you get so much like slower and like all the big HP Pokemon you just cannot knock out so easily.
Yeah, so maybe we're just gonna put the deck on like maybe C tier. I think it's still better than Claw of Electrode.
Yeah, I think CTA is a because it did get top 16 in Charlotte, so you should keep that in
Yeah,
mind.
yeah. So it's like not the worst deck, but maybe not the best deck. But I would say like even with this tier list, even if you are like very good with like one of these B or C tier decks, you could still do very well in the tournament. So like it's like this format is very like skill heavy. I feel like, and like if you really know your deck well and you know the matchups, I feel like you can do good with pretty much anything here. Maybe okay, I'm not sure about the Claw of Electrode, but like with the other stuff.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think that as well because if you play really well and you know your deck really well, you can do well like with pretty much any C to S tier deck. So yeah, you shouldn't like change deck just because we say so.
Yeah, exactly. But so I think this tier list should be over right now. What do you think? Should we maybe change up something here, or is this good?
Um, maybe like maybe Charizard should like go in B tier because like I don't know how good of a play it is because like
Yeah,
many decks are trying to beat it. So I'm not going to say that it's a bad deck, but I'm going to say that it's not like such a good deck right now.
yeah, it's making sense that the TM devolutions and the kind of stuff are still like on the game. So maybe going on here to the B tier wouldn't be even that bad.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
like,
I think otherwise it is pretty good. Maybe Arceus could go in A tier, but I'm just not like so familiar with the deck and how you play all the matchups. So I don't think we should move it anywhere.
yeah, I'm also like kind of the same boat, so I'm not really sure about the Arceus deck. It might be very good, might have some potential, but like I said, not that much experience with it, so maybe just gonna keep it on the B tier right now.
Yep. All right. I think this looks good.
Yes.
Um. All right. So, we are hoping that everyone who watches this video does really well in Liverpool, and hopefully our like opinions helped you, for example, making a deck decision.
Yes, definitely, and make sure to comment if you what deck do you think is the best deck. So maybe we can have some discussion in the comment section. And also, thank you for watching the video. And maybe do you wanna have some shoutouts where we can follow you?
Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter. My at is actually, let me check it. It's the underscore posto, all in huge letters.
Yes, so you should definitely go follow that one. And also maybe you can follow me uh, at Mr. Sharny on Twitter. So just go there and follow both of us. And then also make sure to follow Team SPP. And I think that's it. Also subscribe to us on YouTube, by the way.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.
See ya.
Bye.